Heard no expense.
Well, let me tell you something. All of my boards are. I have even gone.
Welcome to CenturyLink Conferencing. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key, and I'll connect you.
Bid meetings where I meet with all my vendors.
Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed.
We actually.
When you hear the tone, you will be the third person to join the meeting.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello. This is Commissioner Sharp.
This is Commissioner Hopkins.
Welcome, Sandy. Welcome, Mike. How are you? I don't think we're waiting for anybody else on the YouTube. I mean, on the video conference. We're good to go. Are they ready? Are they ready for us via YouTube yet? Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Sandy, for the delay. We've got some technical issues going on. Everything's good?
No problem.
All right. You guys ready? Here we go.
And just for the record, I can barely hear you.
Okay, is that better?
Better.
That's the first time in a long time I've been told I can't be heard. All right. All right, ready, guys? All right.
Ready.
Go ahead and call this meeting to order for July 13th. Maricopa Planning and Zoning Commission, do apologize for the delay. We've been working through some technical difficulties. If we can, we're going to have Commissioner Irving do the invocation, Commissioner Frank do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Yocum,
Here.
Vice Chair Sharp,
Here.
Chair Huggins,
Here.
Commissioner Irving, Commissioner Frank,
Here.
Commissioner Babb. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Just for clarifications, I'm not sure if they can see it on YouTube, but I wanted to make sure everybody knows that we are social distancing. There is plastic between us. So just because we're not wearing our masks doesn't mean that we're not being safe, guys. All right, item number 3, minutes. Approval of the May 11th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes, please.
So moved. Second.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any objections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. 4.1, public hearing, a major text amendment to the City of Maricopa subdivision and zoning code. The proposed text amendment is a complete readoption of the City Code, Chapter 17, by appealing it and adopting a new subdivision code. This text amendment also includes repealing and readopting of zoning code, Article 207, Planning Area Development District, and Article 510, Planned Area Development Procedure, Discussion, and Action.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, At this time, we'd like for the commissioners to go ahead and open the public hearing for any public comment, and then close it after the public hearing session's been done. And then afterwards, we'll go ahead into a staff presentation.
Sure, not a problem. We will go ahead and open it up right now at 6:08, and we'll leave it open for 2 minutes since we do have YouTube out there available for comments. Please let me know if there is any. I saw you came back empty-handed. That means there's nobody out there? Awesome. Rudy, nobody out there?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, do you want to go ahead and just close the public hearing?
All right, we will go ahead and close this public hearing. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, text amendment TXC 20-02 as presented is a code amendment to the city subdivision code, a major update to the code, and along with some minor changes to the current zoning code. Long time coming. We've been working on this project for 2+ years, and a couple setbacks that we had over the span of this project, but we're at a point that we're ready for adoption. Linda Morales with the Planning Center has helped us tremendously as a consultant to help us get project going with her organization. At the last meeting in May, we had a public reading, kind of almost like a 30-day review of the last call for any last-minute comments on this one. But we're on schedule to get this proposally adopted by council later this month. With that being said, I'd like to introduce Linda Morales, the Planning Center consultant that has worked diligently with City on the revised text amendments to the subcode and the zoning code. Linda?
Good evening, members of the commission. Good to see you in person here. Just wanted to thank you all that gave comments on their review. They were very thorough and very, very helpful as we were going through. I will say every time I go through this, I see maybe one or two other little things that could be still updated, but I think it's a good solid document with your input. And I thought I'd just kind of go through those, hit some of the highlights of them, not try to go through one by one since they are numerous. Chair Huggins had many editing comments, and I do appreciate those. I actually discovered a tool called Grammarly, and if you haven't used it, I love it. I ran it through there to check on some of the that's and whiches, and I went on the Grammarly's advice on some of those. So you'll see that. I did want to say too, you found quite a bit of quite a few instances where it looked like there were extra spaces, and it's the font, the way it comes out. So I didn't ignore those. It still looks like it's wrong. I think when we get done with this whole thing, we'll get it all kind of cleaned up, and maybe that's not the best font. But, so those were some of the other cleanup things, some of the things that were more substantial in the, just going chapter or article by article. Article 1 and 2 were really more kind of cleanup things, but there was one particular question that Chair Huggins had brought up about the MPDs versus the PADs. And so we had, I had mentioned this in our presentation last time, that to simplify things, we had taken everything and converted everything into a PAD rather than having a separate MPD versus PAD, because they're really the same tool, the same instrument. There was just MPD was for a smaller project and PADs were for the larger. But the way that we have been able to consolidate that, it just eliminated the confusion between the two documents. But there was no intent there to ever take away HOA powers, HOA control, and the need for that, and the need for ongoing HOA vigilance throughout a project, because obviously we want to make sure that the project's quality and appearances are kept up through that. So on the addendum, actually the last item that Rudy had suggested that we add is kind of addressing that HOA thing. So hopefully that's clarified that, and I think that thread of the MPD versus PAD runs throughout some of the comments. Throughout I think when we started on this till now, some departments and directors' names had changed, so we updated those. As it's been over 2 years, we've had several different people editing and working on this, so it really did need a little cleanup and updating since the first few rounds of revisions that we had. I think we had almost 1,000 comments in that first, before the May meeting. So lots of changes that happened. When we get down to Article 3, that one, there were several comments about what rural meant and rural and estate residential, and some suggestions that maybe we don't want to call subdivisions rural. We actually went back and referenced the general plan and made sure that our language that we're using in the subdivision manual is in line with, and the zoning code is all in line with the general plan. So we put in some definitions you'll see in there that explains more what each of those types of subdivisions are. And so we did leave rural in, but I think it's more clear now. There's also several things that we did go back and clean up that are in the engineering design standards manual that we moved out, so that we don't have the possibility for conflicting things. If we change something down the road, you don't have to go back and change every document. So try to keep everything in its own lane, if you will. And then when you get to Chapter 4, this was a fairly substantial chapter. And so we had quite a few updates that were based on the new electronic submittal. The old thing, there was lots of references to number of copies and things like that that aren't necessarily needed. And also that also allows for the digital signature. So that allowed us to take some of the more clerical, if you will, or administrative types of things out of there and clean that up. There was a section in there that was a little confusing about appeals. It just talked about one particular appeal, didn't have appeals for anything else. Appeals are actually handled in the zoning code, so we took that out. And then the other thing that we realized was a little confusing is where it talked about the number of years that preliminary plats and final plats, or preliminary plats for this sake, if there was a 2-year approval, and then it looked like maybe you could interpret it either way. Was it 2 more extensions? Is it 1 more extension? So we clarified that you can get a 2-year extension. And I just took out those tables because it was already in the text. So it didn't make a lot of sense to do a table that really said the same thing in the prior text. So that was a good comment and good catch by you all. Moving on to Article 5, that was the one that was pared down a lot because that was the difference between the MPDs and the PADs. So not a lot of changes were, actually very little change was there. Just some comments that we'd moved things to the zoning code, or moved almost everything to the zoning code in that case. And then the master plan comment, I think, was relating back to what we talked about earlier about the HOA and ongoing quality maintenance standards. And then when you get to Article 6, we really just took out a lot of information in here that was redundant with things that were in the engineering manual, really kept it on a high-level design standard that really talked about the importance of the quality and keeping everything consistent with the community's vision and quality. So we started that. I can read it to you real quick if I can find it here. We added another definition of what this manual is about at the beginning of the purpose. And so that is on page 6.1. The purpose of this article of the subdivision ordinance is to provide the development community and the citizens of Maricopa with a minimum set of standards to guide the physical development and the visual quality of the subdivisions being developed throughout the community. So that kind of gives people an idea of what this is about versus the technical engineering standards versus the zoning code, I hope. So that was the intent of that section. And then, was there a question?
No, Michael's trying, Commissioner Sharp's having issues hearing.
Oh, okay.
Are you back on, Mr. Sharp? Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear anything else.
You can't hear me?
Okay, can you?
So I don't know if it's just the way that things are connected, but I heard you, Linda, clear as a bell.
Which Linda?
Okay, so you can hear me, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay, we just had some feedback. I think they're trying to work on that right now.
Okay.
Want to try speaking again, Linda? Other Linda.
Yeah, oh, the other Linda? Can you hear me now, Vice Chair Sharp?
Yes, much better.
Oh,
Thank
good,
you.
good, okay. Well, I apologize, I didn't realize I just kept trucking on there, and so back to Article 6. One of the other substantive things that we did add to this section was that we added on access requirements. An additional trigger is suggested for if you're over 3,000 dwelling units or 750 acres. We've suggested that the applicant put in a third access point. I know that's been an issue that's come up that wasn't addressed in other places. So, in working with staff, we added that to this section. There was a question or a suggestion about trees that Commissioner Yoakum has suggested, and there's actually plans for a design standards manual for that, so we'll have a more complete plant list. There is a plant list now, but it needs some updating. I think that, if I recall right, the oleanders were not on it, but sissos were still on that, so that would need a more thorough vetting and updating of that, and that is in the works. And then I realized I didn't have specific comments put into chapter Article 7, but that one, the main change that we made on that is there was a correction to the flow chart based on the current process for inputting things, and then we also updated the assurances section at the suggestion of a consultant in the community, and with a review of legal staff, we went ahead and kind of wholesale inserted that new language in there, so that's more consistent with the way things are being done, and they're done in other jurisdictions. And then that just leaves the two chapters that we updated in the zoning code that go along with the MPD removal and the PAD update, and I don't believe I had any real substantive changes to those two chapters from the commission. I think legal had a couple of little corrections, but that is it. So with I would be happy to try to answer any questions, and I know that Mr. Lopez is here too. Did you have more? Yeah, oh yeah, do you want to go over the other? I forgot about that.
No, it's okay. Madam Chair, Commissioners, so Thank you, Linda Morales, to the Planning Center. It was, again, without their help, this project would have moved forward. So as you can see, it's been rigorous, tiring, and because of some setbacks and the pandemic and staff changes, we are thrilled to get this somewhat off our shoulders and get this completed and done finally. The one thing I do want to make mention, I did pass along an addendum, and Commissioner Sharp and Commissioner Hopkins, you should have received an email from our staff regarding a couple changes, real quick, last-minute changes. If you refer to addendum, item number 1, we want to add this as part of the conditions of approval, as staff does recommend approval of the text amendment TXT 20-02, that the subdivision and zoning code formatting, heading, and subheading, our structure shall be modified to reflect the correct heading, subheading, and formatting structure of the current city code. The clerk's office more recently just revised our city code to a web online version, so a lot of the chapter organization got modified. So technically, this was, when we started, this was chapter 14 city code, now it's chapter 17 city code. So I had to kind of, instead of having Linda revise all the formatting structures of chapter 14 to 17, we're going to get add as a blanket condition that we have staff revise that as we go through adoption. Number 2, anywhere in the subdivision code where there is the notion of a will serve letter, the following text, shall be inserted. The city may require additional documentation establishing the sufficiency of access and adequacy of services. When it comes to will serve letters, there's just a general notion that the applicant, developer shall provide will serve letters, but we want to have some additional language that we have to make sure that the will serve letter also provides us adequate service from that water company, sewer company, electric company, that there is capacity for service to that development. So this is just a little bit more additional assertiveness or additional reassurance that when we get will serve letters, it is going to provide additional capacity for that utility company. Number 3, city staff shall be given responsibility or shall be responsible of any syntax or scrivener errors or clerical errors found within this document. Again, it's very tedious. This is we reduced it actually, I think, to about almost like a 90-page document to now about 60 pages. But it's still a lot of text that we have to make sure that they're all, we're all correlating to each other. So if there's errors that we find are a little bit more clerical, you give us the ability to make those changes on the fly, rather than coming back to the commissioner for every little amendment that needs to be made there. And then lastly, when it comes to the idea of owners association or management associations, anywhere in the subdivision code where there is a notion of responsibility by an HOA or management association, the following text shall be inserted. And here's an example language that's built into the current code where, due to the lifespan of the development, residential or commercial, replacement of dead trees and required landscaping shall be perpetually provided by the homeowners / property owners association designated by the applicant during the final plat approved or individual property owner. Well, we realize we haven't experienced it here, but throughout the valley, sometimes there's a master HOA, and once there's a master HOA, individual neighborhood parcels can then develop their own sub-HOA that's still tied to that master HOA. So by adding that language as designated by the applicant during the final plat, we'll still provide some assurance that we're still talking to whoever's been designated as the HOA at the time of platting requirement itself. So it just covers all bases for sub-HOAs and main HOAs, that there is still responsibility made by maintenance of landscape and things like that. So it's a broad statement, but we're going to insert it as we see fit to make sure that it's in there. Madam Chair, Commissioners, again, we'll be happy to answer any questions at this time. I do want to make mention in terms of the staff report, as it relates to P&Z Commission findings, refer to page 3. And also, I just want to highlight again the public outreach that we've done on page 2. As Linda mentioned, if you look back at what we've done since 2017 when this was initiated, we had a steering committee. Commissioner Sharp, I believe you were on that steering committee. We had former commissioners on that steering committee that helped us out through the months of late December 2018 to all the way to spring, 2017, late December, all the way to spring of 2018. We had numerous reviews from stakeholder communities on first, second rounds, broken up into different chapters. Then we had a little hiccup with staff management changes and then the pandemic. But we're thrilled to get going and finally done. as now that the city's developed its own engineering development standards manual, which is separate, and that was the whole intent of the subdivision code, was to remove a lot of the engineering specific details that this was embedded back in 2006. We're kind of grown up now, 10 plus years later, that now that has created its own separate document. Now we've extracted that. Now we have two documents that are working hand in hand with each other when it comes to new development. As required by section 509 of the city zoning code, the Planning and Zoning Commission shall make the following findings in the recommendation to City Council: that 1, the amendment is consistent with the general plan; 2, that the amendment will promote the growth of the city in an orderly manner and protect the public health, safety, peace, comfort, and general welfare. Madam Chair, staff recommends approval of text amendment case 2002, subject to the conditions as stated in the staff report, which is the addendum as well, and is amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Madam Chair, Commissioners would be more than happy to answer any questions at this time.
Well, thank you very much. Great job. Let me go to commissioners one at a time, since we are socially distancing with two of them on the phone. Commissioner Sharp, any questions? Questions, comments?
No, I don't have any questions or comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Hopkins, questions or comments? Commissioner Hopkins, are you there? Okay, well, it seems like we might have lost her. Commissioner Yocum, any comments, questions?
No.
Commissioner Frank, comments, questions?
No, no comments.
Commissioner Irving?
I guess on the addendum, on number 2, it just seems a little open-ended. The city may require additional, I understand what you're trying to do, but it just seems like at any point in time, I don't know, I guess is there a way to make that a little tighter so somebody couldn't come in and start throwing things at people for, I know you need to ask for it, but I just, get concerned when it's something is that open-ended that somebody might pick something to death with somebody.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, so the city may require additional documentation establishing the sufficiency of access and adequacy of adequate services. Just, someone would be too open-ended on that one?
Well, I guess I've seen sometimes, but that's been in there, and it's like every little thing, I need a little bit about the root of the tree. Just, it can get a little carried away.
Sure.
I just didn't know if there's a way to put a little, because the way it's written right now, you could ask anything, anytime, forever.
Sure.
And I was just trying to figure out a way if it wasn't all encompassing. That's all. And if not, it's not a biggie, but whenever I see that, it's just like, whoa.
I think what he's trying to get at is the fact that he's feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, but feeling that with that section being there, that after the fact and many years later, it could come back and somebody can re-ask for everything all over again. That because it's there, it leaves it open. There's no ending point. It just says may require additional documentation establishing, but it doesn't say till when.
Well, even if besides that, there was a way to say relating to, I just want it tied in to something, because the way it's stated now, it could be pretty broad-based. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
sure.
If it's, again, I don't want to pick it to death. But
Madam
if
Chair.
there's some way to limit it to precise things, that's all.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, if you guys have a hard copy of the code, the Exhibit A, if you were to just look at page 4.5 real quick of the document, and maybe I can help clarify something there, if that's okay, real quick?
That'd be fine.
Okay. So,
4.5 where?
page 4.5 on the bottom. And Commissioner Sharp, if you look at Exhibit A, on the bottom, there's page numbers as 4.4, 4.5, et cetera. if you go to 4.5, here's a great example of what we plan to add this additional text. And it's the top bullet point of 4.5 where it reads, a quotations will serve letter from the respective utility companies proposed to serve the subdivision. So what this list is, this is part of the applicant's developer's submittal checklist. So this is something that we are asking developers to submit to the city. And the intent of adding this language is to, a will serve letter from the respective utility companies proposed to serve the additional subdivisions to confirm, where we could require additional documentation to establish sufficiency of and access of adequacy of the service itself.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is what I was looking at.
Okay.
It's sort of, so what you're telling me now is, but the letter to serve relates to B and C.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I guess
Okay.
that's all I was,
Okay.
oh, good.
Yeah.
So there are some conditions related to.
Yes.
This is perfect. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was looking for. Sorry.
No, it's fine. We should have been a little clarified on where example for that.
Rudy, then maybe on the, well, that's really loud. Sorry, maybe on the wills, on the addendum, there where will serve letter, that was in quotations like it is, page 5, that would tie, that's a definition, tie it together a little bit.
Okay. Duly noted.
The only thing that I want, I'm sorry, done? The only thing that I wanted to add is we need to, as we discussed, we need to go back and look at, I know that in the checklist of where I talked about the HOA under the descriptions of that being removed, I think that we need to go ahead and putting the description of a HOA back into the definition section.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I think a definition will definitely help. In the definition section, we did verify in our zoning code, in the current area subdivision code, we don't have an actual true definition of that, of a management association within it. So I think it's a good call to maybe insert that as part of this text amendment. Something staff will gladly accept as a condition.
Right, well, with that being said, I think you're looking for action from us, correct? Yes, you are. With that being said, is there a motion to approve this and to send it to council?
Second it.
All right, we do have a motion by Commissioner Irving and a second by Commissioner Sharp to approve as stated with the stipulations we've talked about. Move forward to present it to council. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and we still don't have Commissioner Hopkins, correct? So moved.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, moving forward, 5.0, report from commission and or staff.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, just a couple of things to give you on what's on tap in the next coming months. I want to send you guys, or at least personally invite you to the cities. We're going to have an open house meeting July 23rd, which is the Maricopa Station Overlay Zone and text amendment. We brought this into initiation back in the fall of 2019 to start looking at a special zoning district for the Maricopa Station, which is the Old Town area that's somewhat not constrained but bordered by John Wayne Parkway, Honeycutt Road, Plainview, and now it's been changed to Mercado Street. It's a triangular area known as the Maricopa Townsite Subdivision. We've went ahead and notified residents of the area of the proposed overlay zone and text amendment, and it's on our city's homepage. If you look, there's an article with information of the Maricopa Station overlay. Tomorrow, I'll ask Peter to go ahead and send you a link to that web article with information. So we are going to have an open house meeting at the school district on July 23rd at 4 p.m. And if you're of interest to attend, it'll give you at least a good preview of what to expect as we do come back for July 27th for at least some type of action for this request. So I do want to kind of give more of a preview to, as more of an informal meeting to the commissioners that we've been doing with other cases. So you'll be seeing emails from me maybe sometime for late this week or early next week where I can sit down with you one-on-twos maximum to just go over what the request is, to give you a little more insight of it before this comes to you for review and action on July 27th. So you'll be seeing two emails, one from Peter and then one from me for just scheduling to sit down with you on a one-on-two basis in a way. General plan amendments, our plan Maricopa that was adopted in 2016, we now have some major amendments being proposed within that area. We're allowed major amendments to be proposed to us one time, or at least every so often. It has to be submitted to the city by April 30th, and it has to be reviewed and vetted through the city no later by the end of this calendar year. So we have two proposals. One's called the General Plan Amendment, Major Amendment for Anglin. That's a property just west of the state land piece, west of Cobblestone Farms off of 238. And the other one's another General Plan Amendment for off of McDavid Road, just north of Maricopa High School and a little bit northeast from the Maricopa Meadows subdivision. Back in the day, it's always been recognized as some type of industrial park. So if you ever notice that big cell tower that's out there has a lot of antennas, there's actually the idea of it was an industrial park back in the day, but it's being re-amended for a proposed residential type development. So that's on a 60-day review, and that's going to be on notice following this Wednesday for 60 days, and they'll be coming to this commission in September. As part of this general plan amendment, we're required to have one meeting here and then one meeting in another location in the city of Maricopa. So we're trying to get something scheduled at the Maricopa Unified School District Boardroom for September 28th as the second location. And again, we'll send you web link articles so you can at least be aware of what that request is for. And then the next P&Z Commission meeting is July 27th. Again, you'll have what the Maricopa Station Overlay Zone and Text Amendment. And also we have the REV at Porter, which Peter's handling that as project manager for rezoning. The REV at Maricopa is on the southeast corner of Porter Road and Bowling Road, just across the street from the Banner Medical Center on the east side. That's at this time for rezoning, but they are coming in as well for development review permits, so you can at least see a concept plan of the multifamily development that they propose. It's very similar to what we saw, which is the bungalows on Bowling, which is a single story, but multifamily type development, not multi-story type development. The other project on the hopper for July 27th is the John's Terraces multifamily development. That is I think it's about a 12 to 15 unit multifamily development just north of the Sunrise Preschool, also off of Porter Road, south of Circle K, just a little bit north of the Sunrise Preschool there. Small development, but it's about 12 units. There's a couple two-story elements in there, but that's coming for you. And I think we've had somewhat of a preview meeting with most of the commissioners on that one as well. And then lastly, just want to reiterate, the August seems to be light in terms of action for this commission. So commissioners, we do appreciate everything you do for us in terms of getting things moving as part of the requirements of the cities and the state requirements for having a P&Z commission. So August may be a light month, but September we'll be having two meetings for sure, September 14th and then September 28th. And then as mentioned, our next one is scheduled for July 27th. Madam Chair, Commissioners, that is all I have for now.
All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, executive session. You're still sitting, so that means no. That's a good thing. All right, any other comments? I'll take a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Frank, is there a second?
Second.
Irving, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Until next time, stay safe and please stay healthy. Day.
Bye, everyone.